We categorize tornadoes based upon the enhanced Fujita scale, the EF scale. Used to be just the Fujita scale, but now it's the enhanced Fujita scale. And you might be familiar with, actually, our EF5 is the strongest tornado, and our EF0 actually is the weakest tornado. Now, tornadoes, unlike hurricanes, actually can only be categorized after the event has occurred, or I should say are generally categorized after the event has occurred. By looking at the damage it caused, we can get a sense for what the wind speed was. So here we have the wind speed with regard to EF0 through EF5. Then over here you can kind of see how can you look at the aftermath of a tornado and get a sense for what the wind speed might have been. And these are types of damages that you look for. So now back to the F scale, the Fujita scale. These statistics are for the Fujita instead of the EF, but that's okay. This caption down here says that the Fujita scale tends to be more intense than the enhanced Fujita. In general, I think this is interesting. In general, very much more, and I have a slide graph coming up here in a minute, almost 70% of tornadoes are weak, are relatively weak. But these are just a fraction of the people, when people lose their lives, just less than 5% of the total fatalities are associated with those weak tornadoes. Let me go to the other extreme. Only 2% of tornadoes fall into the F4, F5, or EF4, EF5, only 2%, but this small percentage of tornadoes actually accounts for 70% of the people who lose their lives. So this figure right here is kind of showing you that. So we have kind of lumping tornadoes as weak, strong, or violent. And here, this first bar says how many of that sort of tornado do we have. And of course I said that only, 2% tornadoes are F4, F5. But then the other bar, the orange bar, actually shows you how many deaths occur related to that type of tornado. So this is actually a map of the United States and showing you generally where, let's see, it says average number of tornadoes per year. Okay, so this is 9 over here, 7, 5, 3, 1. Okay, so the darker the color here, the more the tornadoes are. So you've probably heard of Tornado Alley, and actually it's kind of starts down here and kind of goes up this way. Okay, Tornado Alley. So yeah. Now, one of the things that makes this kind of a hot spot, no pun intended, is we have mountains over here. Of course, these are our, let's see, well, these are Appalachian Mountains. Well, I call these the Rockies, but they wouldn't just necessarily be the Rockies. But for instance, we have mountains over here and mountains over here, and actually they are great for allowing our cold air to abruptly meet with our warm air. Okay, and so those kind of clashes create conditions that kind of favor thunderstorms and even potentially severe thunderstorms that include the formation of tornadoes. So I always think this is kind of interesting. This is a look at, let's see, each dot represents kind of a cluster of tornadoes. So if you look at North America, and this kind of gets back to what I said, we kind of have mountain ranges, a set of mountain ranges on either coast that run north and south, that we've got a lot more tornadoes than anybody else in the world. So we really, unfortunately, have it going on. So I wanted to make sure I hit a little bit of tornado safety. So the National Weather Service has some great resources out there, including safety for all sorts of different types of severe weather. But let's just take a look at tornado warnings. So if there is a tornado warning, now remember, warning means that we've seen it, okay? It's happening. Okay, if we compare that to a watch, you probably already know this, but a watch means that it might happen. Basically, conditions are favorable. So a watch is less, get in your basement than a warning. But if you have a tornado warning, a tornado is in your area, get indoors. Get in the basement if you have one. Some of these are like, well, no, duh, right? If you don't have a basement, get into an interior room at your lowest level. If you cover yourself with a mattress or foam, okay, to protect yourself from flying debris. If you're in a mobile home, it says don't stay there. Either seek shelter in a fixed building or even outside is better than a mobile home. If you happen to be driving, get off the road and seek shelter. And if you can't get to a fixed building to seek shelter, then get in the lowest ground as possible away from the roadways.